Where do we start? Let's start with the upcoming pay-per-view, which is on the AEW side, which is of course WrestleDream. It is obviously quite stacked. I actually got the card. It's currently 9 matches and what's what should I call it? Also, we're gonna get a speech from Swerve Strickland. I get a promo from he's gonna be showing up as
a speech.
The speech, yeah. My mind went blank.
Speech.
What do you call that? So yeah, let's just run down the card quickly. So we got Hangman Adam Page versus Jay White, Darby Allin versus Brody King, which Darby's gonna get assaulted. Hologram versus the Beast Mortos in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Mark Briscoe against Chris Jericho, everyone's favorite guy for the ROH World Championship. Young Bucks versus Private Party for the AEW Tag Team titles. Mariah May versus Willow Nightingale for the World Championship. Jack Perry versus Shibata for TNT Championship. Ricochet, Will Ospreay, Takeshita for the International Championship. And of course, the main event, which is most likely going to be Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship. So, stacked card. Has it been built up correctly or in the right way? That is left a lot to be desired. If I say so myself. But yeah, there is a couple matches that I'm actually looking forward to in this one. But before I get to myself, I'll leave the panel to you guys and get your thoughts first. Let's start with, of course, El Jefe. And this is from that card. What is your match that you're looking forward to the most?
Do you know what, right? I think this is a really, really stacked card, like you said. But from a storyline perspective, like you look at this card and you're like, why is 90% of it there? You were reading it off then. And when you were reading it off, like you got to the 2 out of 3 falls match. And like I could almost like cue the confusion. Because it does just feel like stuff had been thrown together. It's been thrown at a wall. And hopefully some of it will stick. But I'm sure it will be a great card. And I'm sure it'll be a great show because AEW pay-per-views always are. They always do deliver. And I'm excited for this one. But the big match, which I'm really, really excited for, is, of course, the main event. Jon Moxley, Bryan Danielson. Could this be the final match of Bryan Danielson's? It's in his home state. We know he needs neck surgery. We know it's unlikely, not impossible, but unlikely that he'll be able to return to wrestling after his neck surgery. So could we actually be witnessing the last match in the career of Bryan Danielson this Saturday night? I'm edging more towards no, but it could go either way, and I'm so excited for it. But also, despite what I said about the 2 out of 3 falls match, I think that's going to be an absolute banger as well.
No, 110% agree. Even that hologram versus Motos, like I'm very surprised that is on there. It does feel like it's a throwaway, or that probably should have been arguably on the 0 hour. But I'll be honest, I don't know much about hologram because I don't watch Collision. Sorry, but yeah, I'm a fan of the Beast Mortos. He's definitely a fun wrestler to watch. And I think that should be quite good. And maybe that could be the opener, get the crowd hyped.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't say no to that. I agree. Do I feel like this is going to be the last time we're going to see Danielson? No, because I do feel like it's probably going to be like a not necessarily an attraction, but more like a part-time person after his surgery and whatnot. And that match again, just like the match at All In at against Strickland, this match could go either way. He could win or he could lose, and that's the beauty of it, I guess. What about you, Jordy? What match are you looking forward to, and what's your thoughts on the build-up of this pay-per-view?
Similar to you guys, left a lot to be desired. It's not I'm an interesting one here with AEW, and we're going to talk about AEW a little bit more later on down the line. But I have started watching a lot more recently, and I feel like I am kind of the target audience because obviously I am a wrestling fan, and it needs to hook me in. And things have happened at PLEs or pay-per-views, with AEW that have pulled me in. But week to week, I'm not at that point yet where I'm really excited to keep up with these storylines. And from what you guys say as well, because quite often you guys are my update for AEW, it's I was going to say it's not my fault that I'm not watching it, but the storylines aren't enticing people to really watch it in the sense that they perhaps want it to. But that being said, Daniel Bryan and Dean Ambrose, mate, for me. No, I'm joking. It's tricky. It's tricky. Mariah May, I think she's brilliant. I think in this run, she needs to be able to have a few solid defenses. And I think someone like Willow Nightingale is the person to do that. So I could say that, but then the triple threat as well. I mean, it's going to be a spectacle to watch, but I'll go with Mariah May that I'm most looking forward to watch, and I hope she retains.
Okay, first off, boo for saying Dean Ambrose, that Dean Ambrose name. That's like the Pete Dunne situation. You'd never say Dean Ambrose. His name is John Moxley.
Who is a lot better than Dean Ambrose.
Yeah, no, I'm only joking. I agree. It suits him a lot more.
100%. And I agree, Ben. Definitely top 5 cash in. I mean, that the stat is crazy. It still fascinates me that everyone in the Shield held the championship that same night. It was quite fascinating. So
in 5 minutes as well.
In 5 minutes, yeah. Insane stat. Last but not least, Shad, what match are you looking forward to? And do you agree that this pay-per-view has not been built up to the best of its abilities?
It hasn't been built to its best of its abilities. I joked around yesterday on the Daily. I said it's like the AEW Collision of pay-per-views. Like, it feels like a episode of Collision on a pay-per-view. A lot of on paper well wrestled matches that I would expect. You're gonna get a lot of incredible in-ring stuff from the competition that we have on there. But when you talk about storylines, it just hasn't been there. It seems like a lot of the storylines have been booked last minute within the last few weeks, besides obviously the main event. Everything else has kind of been booked in the hyperdrive, and a lot of it is also tied to the fact that we had a big time Grand Slam where they put a lot of investment in the storylines and premiere matches into that. It felt like a pseudo pay-per-view for a weekly television show. So I don't think WrestleDream has been built that good at all, to be honest with you. But me being an AEW fan, I'm still excited for it because, like you said, you ran the card down, and there's a lot of fun matches to be desired on it. Obviously, the main event is going to be amazing. Moxley Danielson, from the essence of Danielson coming into AEW and kind of being tied to the hip with Moxley as a feud and becoming faction mates, and us coming back to where we are here. I think it's going to be really interesting. Also, that you add that dynamic of if he loses, he has to retire. Will this be the last match for him? It being in his hometown, it's going to be something worthwhile watching. And both of those guys are incredible talents. Even what Jordy's saying, the women's match, that's something that has my interest in a sense, just because I love both of the talents. But the storyline hasn't kind of drawn me in a lot, just because it's kind of been thrown to us in the last couple of weeks. But for me, the match I'm most excited for is I'll give you the one that I'm mostly excited for, and that is the triple threat match between Will Ospreay, Ricochet, and Takeshita. I think Will Ospreay is one of the best wrestlers in the entire planet. I think the stuff that guy does on a weekly basis is great. I think he's a phenomenal character. And you add this dynamic of Ricochet coming back in, them being rivals, having that legendary match that inspired a lot of the people that are on that roster to this day, and them kind of having that finish. But the outlier to me is Konosuke Takeshita. I think this is going to be a monumental moment for him on Saturday. I think we have potential to see him become a champion. And I think Takeshita is a guy who's really underrated by every stat line that you can have. I think he does stuff so well in ring. He, like me, you guys, Ben, we were talking about it throughout the entire G1. He was the guy that kind of popped out and shined. I think this is his time to really get some gold, and I think he's going to win this Saturday. So him potentially being champion, but just all three of them being premier in-ring savants. It's going to be so great. It may be a potential match of the year candidate if all goes well. I'm going to give you one match also that I'm excited for, and it's only if the moment happens. The EVPs versus Private Party. I love Private Party. I think those guys are crazy talented. I think if we want to get a shot in the arm, a jab for that tag division to make it fun and do something different and allow a young talent, let the Bucks put over a Private Party again. Let's get them gold. But those would probably be the two I'm, really excited for, especially the triple threat.
Fair dues. Yeah, that's a good shout. Especially with the triple threat regarding Takeshita as well. I feel like now is the time to finally pull that trigger. Because there's been numerous times where we thought, okay, yeah, it's definitely getting the push, and then it kind of falls into obscurity. And this heel turn, I've been loving this heel turn so far. Ever since he joined the Don Callis family, and like you said, the G1 climax. He easily showed what he is capable of in there. So, and to promote or to push the story, if you're going to carry on with Ricochet and Will Ospreay, that doesn't really need the title in there. They could do their own thing if they're going to go down that route. And but yeah, with Takeshita, I think his time is probably now. And he could cause an quote unquote upset and get the win. But yeah, I think that match for me is, because I've been talking about it, it's clearly the one that I'm mainly looking forward to, because that match that they had on Dynamite where it was Ricochet and Ospreay, I thought it really ticked me off when it ended up being a no contest, but obviously they built up to this, and now like with the added dynamic of Takeshita, I think it's going to be even probably definitely excel or exceed what they did on Dynamite when it was just Ricochet and Will Ospreay. The Young Bucks versus Private Party. I don't think Private Party are going to win, but it should be a fun match. And I just wanted to get your thoughts as well, guys. What's your thoughts on the Young Bucks title reign? Like, do you consider it a title reign, or are they just holding the titles hostage? Like, what's your take on it?
You know what? If we give that energy, and I don't want to do compare and contrast, but a lot of the dynamic is about what the Judgment Day is doing on Raw. I think it's synonymous on AEW. I think the storyline and the characters are above the titles, and they just throw random matches for them to give them the sake of a title reign. There hasn't been any tag team division, any tag teams fighting for the tag team titles or feuds that play off of it.
It's sad to say, but it feels like in North America, tag team wrestling right now is pretty much dead. I mean, in Japan is where they probably got the most stacked tag division right now.
Fair do. And what about you, Jordy? You agree or disagree?
It's the one thing I will say, it is comparable to the Judgment Day, but I guess it kind of with them being EVPs, with them playing that kind of role, holding the titles hostage kind of makes a bit more sense than the Judgment Day doing it, because you can play from that corporate sense of like, no, but like we want to parade these around, so like why would we book ourselves to lose kind of thing. So I guess in that sense, it gets a little bit of more of a pass from me because it plays into the characters. But yeah, still think it's not great.
Yeah, fair dues. Yeah, no, I agree. The Judgment Day thing. I agree. They have no reason to have them titles, and it just makes it all the more like
all the bloodline, or like just anyone really. Like
I guess especially
they just had a ladder match though.
Yeah, it's not. I'm not saying that they're necessarily doing a bad job with them. It's just they don't need them. Like to be like Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa don't need the belts like to be in a good storyline.
I actually will argue. I think they kind of do, because I feel like especially Tonga Loa, right? People making jokes about the jobber and all of that. I mean, the fact is, outside of WWE, of course, they were a hugely successful tag team, but people who watch WWE might not know that, in fact, probably don't know that. So by giving them the tag title so early, it does establish that. So I actually don't mind it, but I did agree when Jacob Fatu held them. It was kind of like, why is this happening? Because we can tell this guy doesn't need them.
I've got to say, like, I know the Botcha Loa thing isn't great, but like, I kind of liked that they were kind of leaning into it in he was like almost comedic in a sense.
The ladder
Because
last week.
well, when the bloodline was at its height, they had Sammy, who was a bit of comic relief. They had Jimmy doing it at one point. They had Jay doing it at one point. So I think it's always good to have that in there. And at points, in all honesty, people might disagree with me here. I think Solo can do it. Solo's made me laugh a couple of times, like when he was at the side of the ring, just doing it like, like there was been little moments, but as the tribal chief, that's not your role to play. So like, if Tongaloa needs to be the comic relief, I'm not like when he held up the title wrong. Surely that's intentional. Surely that's intentional.
And then even with Tama Tonga making the little like noises and stuff.
Yeah,
too. Like, I feel like they know that.
Even the crowd gets into it. Oh, yeah, the crowd doing that. I was like,
it's so funny.
Over.
You can't tell me that whoever produced the SmackDown match last week didn't deliberately say, I want Tongaloa to stand on that ladder.
Yeah.
Because everybody was like, he's going to fall. He's going to fall. It was just, I was on the edge of my seat. And then Anthony said it the next day on the Daily as well. And I was like, okay, I'm not just the only one. It was nerve-wracking.
It was. It looked shaky too.
That's what I'm saying. He just does it effortlessly.
Tama Tonga was fully like holding it with all of his strength.
He was like, please don't fuck this up. Please don't. Like, just hurry up and get it down. But yeah, I was fearing the worst as well. I thought he was going to choke. But yeah, no, that's fair dude. That's fair dude. Okay, cool. So clearly we're looking forward to WrestleDream. There is some matches that are worthy of being the PLE. PLE pay-per-view, sorry.
And we brainwashed, man.
I know already. I'm sick and tired of it.
E-drones.
And there's obviously some matches where they'll be like, that's on there. But yeah, it is what it is. Let me know your thoughts on what matches are you looking forward to in the comments as well.
It's chaos.